Stop moving in frank to start moving in motion. Cause it can't be planned, it can't be your forces. Have a force that could move a whole body of oceans. So wear every single denim cotton that you're closed with. Yeah.
Hey y'all, welcome to Kindred Conversations, Living Black and Lowell. I'm Maritza Grooms.
I'm Masada Jones.
Today we have Christa Brown.
Christa Brown!
Christa Brown!
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course.
The founder and executive director of the Free Soil Arts Collective.
Yes.
Oh.
Oh, wow.
Yes. So Christa,
Yes.
welcome to the show.
I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much.
Yes. Guys, I feel like this is like The View. Okay.
I know.
So,
Ew.
let's get into the juice.
So,
I don't even watch
tell us about the Free Soil Arts Collective.
Yes.
please.
Okay. So we're a new arts organization based here in Lowell, Massachusetts.
Yes.
And the whole idea kind of came from me being a lover of the arts since I was a young kid. So I have my BFA in theater. And when I came back to Lowell to live full time, a lot of those opportunities to act, create art, I always had to leave Lowell for that. So I was going to Boston, going to Newburyport, going to any city outside of where I live.
Yeah.
So after a while, like a few years of always commuting and like making connections with other people, I started getting just frustrated with feeling like I always had to leave where I lived,
Right.
where my friends were, where my community was, to make the art that I loved. So last year, I actually just came up with the idea. I'm like, we're gonna start small. I'm going to come up with something. I'm gonna recruit the first cast, and we're gonna put on our own show. And we officially launched January of this year, and it's kind of just been a whirlwind since then. But it's really all about showcasing the stories and sharing the narratives that don't get a lot of the limelight here where we live in the Merrimack Valley. And I think people, when they think of Lowell, they think, oh, there's so much going on. The arts community is thriving.
Right.
But when you look deep at who is creating that art and who is in power when it comes to how that art gets curated and funded, those faces are not people of color.
Right.
So,
I'm
yeah.
seeing a pattern.
What?
Is there a theme here? No.
Oh, yes. Took me a while. Yes.
Yes, there is.
So it's like, I do think there's a lot going on, but it's not balanced, and a lot of stories that need to be told are not being told. And so the whole premise is that we're gonna put on shows and also support other shows and artists so that the art that we put on is accurately reflecting the community in which it is happening.
That's a thought.
Yes. What a concept, yes. And the first show we're doing is called Hair Tales, Stories.
Tell me more.
So you ladies are in the show, of course, so it's like, but Hair Tales, Stories of Black Heritage, and it's all about the Black hair experience and all about us sharing our stories as women with, even though we're all Black, we all have very different nuanced experience when it comes to our hair.
Right.
We also have Kasaya Bascom of Offbeat Compost is in it, and we also have Nashel Gandia, who's on the board of the YWCA Lowell. And it's been, YWCA. So it's been really cool to see how, even though we're all Black, we all have very different experiences when it comes to our hair and how that plays a role in corporate world, jobs, family, self-esteem, friendship. And this is our first show. It's a reading, so very low key, not crazy sets,
reading.
Dancing, not like a reading, but like a reading.
I mean,
Or is it?
We might.
I mean, right, exactly.
Well, I mean, because we get real,
Yeah.
and that's been a journey that you all know of personally. But like, it's also like, okay, now that you have this platform to create art that's authentic, just not being so concerned about the education piece. Like, I don't want this to be like, let's teach people about Black hair. I really want it to be people sitting down and being like, oh, this is me being exposed to a world I didn't know anything about.
Yeah.
And it's also a way that you're forced to be quiet and just listen in a room, lights off, and your job is to sit for an hour and a half and kind of digest this type of work. So it's been a journey for me to figure out the balance between education, performance, like what the role of this will be going forward, and to make sure that we're not catering to remembering who this is about, what it's about,
Right.
and not cater it to any group that's not a part of that process, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
That definitely makes sense.
Yeah.
Like my whole jam is anti-oppression work and
Yes.
decentering whiteness. So, you know, like as soon as you said, "Hey, do you want to do this?" I'm like, "Yes."
Yes. Yes. And I was overwhelmed because it was just an idea. It's still an idea. Long term, I mean, I look forward to having like auditions and calling people in for artists and like finding people who are doing great stuff. Like, how can we bring you to our area? How can we support other people?
Love it.
But this first show was very much like carefully selected. Yeah, but the future, I see magical things.
Nice.
Yes.
So how did you get into the arts?
Ooh. So it's like a corny story, but when my family, we moved around a lot. So I'm from Haverhill, Massachusetts originally. So we moved around a lot in Haverhill and then found ourselves in Hartford, Connecticut when I was like 12. And I remember we went to Bushnell Park, which is like this huge park in Hartford. And they always had like traveling bands and musicians, I guess kind of like boarding house park. And my mom took me and my twin sister there one time, and they had this performing theater troupe, and they were calling up people from the audience to come on stage. And I don't know why, I was like, okay, I'll do it. So I was like, hello, yes, okay. So like your little Christa.
Right.
Oh, just lanky. Okay. And then got on stage and they were like, okay, you're gonna be the guard of Hades. You need to come up with a code word, and then we're gonna open up, it was like some sort of Greek play or something. So I was like, okay. So we huddled and they're like, what should the word be? And I was like, my favorite food is shrimp. So I was like, let's make it shrimp. And they were like, okay. So we did it, and we were like, they're like, okay. And I was like, shrimp. And like, you let people come in or something. And it's corny, but I remember that moment feeling electric. Like I felt hot. I felt like my body got all warm, and I was like, what is this? I don't know what this is that I just did, but I love this. So even though we didn't have a lot of money growing up and it was struggle city, I think because of where we were living in Hartford at the time, we got a lot of resources. So like the school I went to at the time had a connection with the Hartford Conservatory. So they did the after school program. And it was just like beautiful timing. Like I found this thing and I'm like, oh, acting is this thing. And then my school was like, yeah, there's an after school program if you want to go and learn from artists. I'm like, okay. And then I went to that and loved it. Like changed my life. And I kept acting for the rest of my life. So going to high school, so because of where we were in Hartford, they were offering scholarships to a boarding school like 2 cities over.
Oh, wow.
And because it's just a weird thing, because part of me looks back on my life and thinks like, oh my God, if we had lived in a different environment or the suburbs, like how better would my life have turned out in terms of like how much money I make or connection. When you think about that, like, you know.
Yeah.
But I also think I wouldn't have gotten as many opportunities. So when I went to boarding school, the theater teachers there happened to both be Yale graduates.
Get out.
They were like, they were G's, like fabulous men.
Wow.
And I remember it was Kevin Quinn and Brian Kasanovich. And I remember I auditioned for shows there, and it's high school, and it was like state of the art everything. And I was going to this like elite boarding school by day, taking the bus 2 hours to go to Hartford, Connecticut at night.
Wow.
Because my mom.
This was in high school. Wow.
Because
that's dedication.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because I started sleeping there for a little bit, but after a while, my mom, she was not comfortable with me just sleeping overnight. So she was like, you can still go, but you're not going to be a boarder anymore. So I was like, ugh. So I was pursuing art there, and I was really learning. Like, I was like, this is my people. Like, I started dancing at 14, which, you know, like, most people that do ballet and jazz have been doing it since they were like kids.
As soon as they could walk.
Yes. And I'm like 14, not flexible, like learning how to do all this stuff. And I was like, it was just so good. And so I would audition for stuff, was getting a lot of good feedback, like, Christa, you're so great, da-da-da. And then we didn't have a car at the time. So of course I'm taking the bus. So I'd audition for plays, get cast, and then not be able to do rehearsals because we didn't have a car.
Oh, wow.
So it was like, it was a lot. It was a lot. So then we moved in the middle of sophomore year to Virginia. So, and that's a whole other Kindred Conversation.
Right.
But moved to Virginia, still acting. My mom.
Did you have as many opportunities in Virginia?
No. So we were in rural Virginia. So it's called South Hill, like tobacco fields, deer,
I feel like that was a show on BET.
It
should be.
Like really country, like we were staying with my grandmother at the time, and the theater department there was very much like you had to know people. So I was new, and even though I was talented, I didn't get a lot of parts because I was the new kid from Connecticut. Yeah. So a lot of my mom and my sister would be like, Christa, why are you playing like teacher number 2? Like, why are you doing that? And I'm like, I don't know. Like everybody here knows everybody, and it's been a thing. It was a school where everyone had known each other from kindergarten.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
That's that rural life.
Yes, everyone. Everyone. Hashtag rural life.
Was the school like K through 12?
No. So the high school, it was like there are only so many schools in the area.
Right.
So the class of 2008, had all been in the same kindergarten school, the same middle school. They everyone. So it was hard for me to break into that. So then when I applied for colleges, my mom, again, we were struggling. Like it was a lot of hard times, like living with friends, like not knowing what the food was gonna be, like hard times. But in that, my mom was still very open to like what I majored in at college. So I felt very strongly about going to college. It wasn't like my parents pushed me.
Right.
I was like, I wanna go. And I'm gonna major in theater. And thinking, it wasn't one of those things where it's like, you gotta do law or like become a doctor.
Right.
Like I didn't get that pressure.
Right.
Yeah.
So then the love was just always there. So I went to school for it. I ended up doing an internship with the dad from Sister Sister, Tim Reed.
Whoa.
He has a film studio in Virginia. I don't know if it's there anymore.
Yeah.
So
That's
cool.
awesome.
I have a picture with him.
She's jealous. She's like, can you see her face?
Yeah. It was so good. It was.
We can be friends.
Okay, well, I have like one picture.
Oh my
But
gosh.
Oh my God.
yeah, so it was learning about film, and it was a summer, and I feel we're at LTC. I mean, I don't know how much I retained, but that is there was an instance that happened there that like directly relates to Free Soil. In that, I remember all this chance stuff. So we were in this another rural area where I went to school in Farmville, Virginia.
Farmville. That was
Yes,
a game on
it was a game on Facebook. Yes. And that's where I think they had the VP debate there last year, the year before.
Oh, wow.
I digress, but Longwood University. So there was a college there, not a college, sorry. There was a school there down the street, and apparently it was one of the schools that led to the Brown versus Board of Education
Oh, wow.
case. So, and I don't want to mess up all the timelines and stuff, but anyway, there was a student named Barbara Johns who staged like a walkout, and they were like, unfair conditions, it's not fair, they walked out. And it's part of, anyway, so Tim Reed and his film studio came to Farmville, they wanted to film a video about that walkout. So they did a casting call, they reached out to the theater department, which I was in, I auditioned, got a part, it was like one line. It was like, Cassie, are you ready? And I'm like, as ready as I'm ever gonna be, I guess. It was like,
But you walked out that photo.
It was like right before the walkout happened, and I had my books. I'm like, that's ready.
I love it.
My God, I gave it everything, and I don't know. I just believe. I believe in manifestation.
Yes.
I believe in setting your mind to something. So something told me, like, Christa, you got this one line. Tim is here.
Right.
If you give it your all, you have no idea what could happen. So I just gave it my all, and then he came up to me after, and he was like, you're quite good. I was like, oh, thank you. And then he was like, I'm doing sister.
Right.
I know. And I'm like, what was his name? I forgot his name.
I don't know. I just know it's Tia and Tamara's dad.
Yeah.
Right.
So I was looking at him and I was like, oh my God, thank you. And then I was like, then he left. And I was like, oh man. So then like we're eating food, we're bonding. And then he comes back up to me with this card. He's like, I do an internship at my studio every summer. For students like you, like I'd love for you to come.
Wow.
There's no cost or anything. I'm like, okay, great. So we had that interaction. He told me when it was gonna happen. That was it. A few months later, and I still have this email saved. A few months later, he emails me and says, Christa, what are you doing? We had this conversation. You haven't followed up with me. You haven't connected with me. What do you want? Other students want this opportunity. And you can't, he said something like, you can't just wait. Like, what are you doing? So at that point in my life, I didn't know anything about, I don't know what we call this now. I didn't know anything about follow-up. I didn't know anything. I just was like, oh, I have an internship, great. Like, I didn't circle back with him. And he didn't think I wanted it that bad because I didn't. So then I get this email and I'm like, oh crap, he thinks I'm like not invested.
Right.
And meanwhile, I've been like, I have an internship. So I connected with him. I'm like, I'm so sorry. And it still affects me to this day because it's like, the whole thing with Free Soil was I feel like I was waiting for this kind of thing to pop up on its own. I'm like, no, one day the Merrimack Valley, somebody in power will realize that there's a need and we need to fill it.
I'm sorry. I thought
Said no one ever.
I know.
like you could also be a comedian.
Right.
I legit was like, it'll happen one day. And then I'm like, Christa, I came up here 2012, like permanently. I'm like, girl, it's 2015, it's 2016. Like, it's not here and it's not happening. Yeah. And I think all of those programs I went to as a kid, in the back of my mind when I'm like, I could do that for a living one day. Like, I would love to like manage some sort of arts center, collective thing that like is a hub for people to all this stuff. And it was really scary. And I remember I thought about Tim Reed's email. I was like, what you gonna do? Wait?
Right.
If not you,
Then who?
if not now.
When? I was like,
Oh,
when?
Lord.
Yeah, like, and it's scary. So I hit you guys, when I hit you all up, it was on pure adrenaline. I'm like, oh, I'm like, I gotta start it. Like, I gotta start it. And it was just an idea, and I'm like, it's gonna be about black hair. And it's been real scrappy. But the thing I like is that, so for people that don't know, it's an original stage reading, does not exist. It's based off your true stories. And I've just made a script from that. And maybe in the future we'll do shows that have been produced before, but there's this, like, it's scary. It's extremely scary. And I don't know if you all can relate with the Kindred Project at all, but you all, to me, have a very deep sense of confidence that I feel as though I'm kind of growing into. But there's this level of like, I've always wanted to do this. I'm going to put that baby out there. It's scary.
Well, you're making yourself vulnerable.
Yes.
This is like you said, it's your baby, right?
Yes.
And it's like, okay, now I'm exposing my baby to the world.
Yes.
And how is it going to be received? Is it going to be like, how am I going to be received?
Yes.
And it's definitely like, I mean, it's the thing I don't generally think about, but
But it's
sometimes like I do. I'm like, oh, I'm usually a post thinker, like, oh, maybe that made someone uncomfortable. But like for the most, like you said, that sense of confidence, like, and I feel like we kind of, because we're constantly checking each other, that we have that.
Yes.
Like, no, it's fine. What you said was fine, right?
Yes.
But I feel like you're really embarking on this journey. Like, yes, you've included all of us, but this is you. This is your dream. This is something that you have been feeling for a long time.
Yeah.
And that is scary.
Yeah.
That you're taking a step into the unknown.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you're doing it.
Yes. Like that's what his email kind of it just came to me throughout this whole process. It's like, no matter how you feel, no matter what you're scared of, don't just don't just wait.
Right.
Like, you have to try it.
Yeah.
And even people, I feel like, who are people that are out there that are, and the other thing, if I'm being really, really real, so people will be out there doing stuff and then you become a critic. I was becoming this like, but it's not this, or like not voicing it just in my mind,
Right.
either being jealous that I wasn't doing what I wanted to do,
Yeah.
or like, and there's a certain level of like, at least they're doing it. You may not like it. You may not,
Feel you could do it better.
yeah,
Right.
but they're doing it. So the year, and when I look back, I'm like, years of my life, I was just this internal critic of other people, and I wasn't putting any action behind what I wanted to do. And that, when I look back on it, it's just so sad to me in a way, because, I mean, I also believe that like timing is something that's very kind of like uncontrollable, but so not to like look back and be like, oh, I should have done this, but it's like, you think about the energy, the time in your mind that you waste.
Right.
Thinking about other people and not thinking about your dream.
Right.
And that was me. So I think part of this is like a passion thing, but it's also like came from frustration for a long time.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm sorry, I had to sit with that for a second.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So, but that's not the only thing that you're doing. So, like, you had this dream for a long time, and I don't think, like you said, you were just, criticizing everybody else. You were still out there performing, being an actress.
Yeah.
I got to see you in at least 3
Yeah.
productions, I think. I think it was 4 Colored Girls, Into the
Yeah.
Woods,
Yes.
and
Revolt.
Revolt.
Yes.
Yeah, which was wild.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
an experience.
like, whoa,
Yup.
that's happening.
Yep.
Yes. And then like, so I feel like you don't understand that you are having an impact, especially as in some of those pieces you were the only woman of color, right? And folks in the Merrimack Valley are seeing you, and so you are having an impact. Meanwhile, you're thinking, I'm not living my dream, or I'm not doing this thing. You are. And even like I remember seeing you as the MC at the Women's Week breakfast, like, and that was before I was really like involved, like, you know what I mean? And I remember thinking, wow, like in this like sea of white women, here's Christa Brown, like waking everybody up, jazzing everybody up, and everybody loved it. Everybody knew you, and everybody respected you, and it was like, it kind of gave me some confidence because I knew you. So I was like, okay, all right,
She's doing that.
we can all do that. So it's like that same idea, like this person is doing this.
Yes.
I can too.
Yes.
So
It's a mental. Thank you.
And
Yes.
I think either way, like just being present and you are being a representative for us. I think that we just need more of that in the city. So whether or not you feel like, oh, I'm doing a whole lot, or maybe I'm doing too little, like you are being present, and that's important.
Yes.
And I think sometimes we all give ourselves like a hard time about that.
Yes.
But showing up and being present is a big deal because
true.
for a long time I don't think that I would go to meetings and I'd be the only one present. You know what I mean? So like now that has changed, and that's good.
Yes. Emotion. Yes. Yes. I think, and I also believe, in spite of all this, I do feel like, and you both I think can attest to this too, like once you put yourself out there are tons of opportunities to say yes to. So I feel like hosting the Women's Week breakfast, I think, was the first, like, outside of my job, working at Girls Inc. at the time, first thing that I was like, oh, this is like a community thing that's not affiliated with, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And after that, there were tons of people that were like, oh, saw you at the Women's Week breakfast. Would you like to do this? And like, so I would say I'm grateful because I do feel like this city is like this, and not a lot of areas are like that, where they can be like, oh, Masada, I saw you doing this. Would you like to do this? That's what they, so that was cool. I feel like saying yes to things, opportunities started to. Yes.
For sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, the Free Soil Arts Collective, that's like a lot of work. But that's not even your day job.
No, girl.
What does that consist of?
Yeah, so by day, I work at Entrepreneurship for All, a nonprofit based in Lowell. We're in the Wanalancet Mills, and I am, before saying what I do, so we're a nonprofit organization, and we offer a free accelerator program for people who have ideas for a business or a nonprofit. Even if you're in the idea stage, even if you have a hobby on the side and you want to learn how you can turn it into a business, we have a 12-week program that is completely free. You get a team of 3 mentors that'll work with you, like directly giving you feedback on your idea. And if you're accepted into the program, you're meeting twice a week. You're learning from content specialists like bookkeeping, social media, branding, all those things. And then at the end of the 12 weeks, you have opportunities to get cash prizes that E4All takes no fees in. There's no equity, nothing. It's your money. And then for the following 9 months, you have more support from your mentors, but you meet less frequently. And then we have E4Alls in Lowell and Lawrence, Lynn, Fall River, New Bedford, the Cape. I was gonna say the Cape Cod, but Cape Cod. Eek. I don't want to forget a location.
There's quite a few now.
There are many. There are many. We have 6 total. I may have missed some. And then we just launched one in Colorado.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's free. So you're getting all the support for free. So I'm the content manager. So I manage like social media for E4All's headquarters accounts, meet with people and get impact stories. So I get to talk to entrepreneurs and mentors about their experiences. Helping with like fundraising stuff, marketing stuff.
That's really cool.
It's great.
I feel like, well, and I'm not speaking for you, but correct me if I'm wrong.
Okay.
I feel like
I'm not speaking for you, but correct me.
Yes, but let me know. I feel like that, like having this job kind of like is a really good position for you in terms of you learning about your own business and like launching your own business, but also like the work that E4All is doing in Lowell and Lawrence and uplifting those like marginalized voices and giving opportunities to marginalized folks to start their businesses. I think that all plays into the same kind of like vision that maybe we all have, I don't know, like, of like uplifting marginalized folks.
Yes.
So that gets me to my next question. Where do you find your blackness in Lowell?
Ooh, Blackness, where are you?
Make that echo.
Like my personal blackness? Or like, where do I see blackness in Lowell?
Yeah, like your however you want to interpret that, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm just curious.
Ooh. I feel most in touch with my blackness, I feel like when I'm around other black people. Whether it's like an event that you all have hosted or if it's or just hanging out with my friends, that's when I feel it, to be honest. Like this is a little sad. I feel throughout my daily life, it's not something that I can really sit in, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh,
Yes.
totally.
I feel like relate, yes. And I feel like it's really in my downtime where I find it. Like it's me on like Instagram, seeing people that are doing beautiful stuff, looking beautiful.
Yeah.
And that's where I get a lot of my empowerment in being a black woman.
Instagram is really good for that.
Instagram is beautiful.
Yeah.
Like one hashtag takes you down this whole whirlwind of like
Seriously.
beautiful stuff. I think it's a lot of internal work too. Like I don't know. I just think a lot of opportunities, a lot of spaces. I am one of few. I am one or few.
Right.
And not saying that the only way black people can thrive is if they're in the majority, but I do believe that like it's a mental, spiritual thing of like cultivating blackness. Like the work that you all are doing, to me, has a spiritual component to it. It's uplifting, it's beautiful. It makes me, like sometimes I will literally watch, so I pledged a sorority in college, Alpha Kappa Alpha, and I will sometimes watch videos of like, just sorority life, black college life. And it makes, even like movies like Stomp the Yard, like cheesy stuff, or A Different World, whatever. It makes me, they don't do.
Oh, Lord.
It makes me emotional to watch it, and it makes me cry.
Yeah.
And there's this whole Instagram campaign now, I think it's like Black Men Smiling.
Yes.
It's emotional.
I love it.
Yeah, I love it. And just seeing, I love us. I love being black. When I was a kid, I used to be like, I feel bad for, like, I love being black. I love it. Yes. And I want to consistently find a way to get into my blackness, I feel like.
So where can we find you?
Ooh,
Yeah,
well.
let's get in touch.
Okay, so if you're thinking free soil capacity, freesoilarts.org. You can also email me. It's Christa, CHRISTA, at freesoilarts.org. Okay? You can find me on Facebook, Christa Brown. I'll accept you if you're friendly. Instagram, I'm Choice to Be Happy. So that's the number 2, letter B.
P.S. That's also a podcast.
Oh, yes.
Check that out.
Oh, my gosh.
We didn't get to talk
It's
about
okay.
that
It's a lot.
Yes. Well, there's so much, right?
Yes.
Because
Yes.
you're doing so much.
Yes.
And I want to make sure that folks know that. Follow her on all the things.
Yes.
Facebook, Instagram, iTunes.
Yes.
And like all the pages to stay
Yes.
connected.
And if you have EFRAL questions, it's Christa at EFRAL.org.
There you go. And
So-
there's one more thing.
I'm ready.
What's happening April 27th?
Yes! Okay, so we're having the launch party for the Free Soil Arts Collective at the Old Court on April 27th, which is a Saturday. 6 to 9, there'll be a program, but 9 to 12:30, there's an after party. So people like to dance, get jiggy with it.
Or just stand in the corner.
Or stand in the corner.
You know you're shoulder.
Please come. Tickets are $25. You're getting food, live music from T and the Gents. Great. You get a preview of the show.
Yes.
I'm so excited. I cannot wait to see everybody.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for being on the show,
Thank you
Chris,
so much.
and sharing all that you do.
Thank you. It was a thrill. I really love you guys.
Yes,
I love
and I
you.
hope that you find time to sleep at some point in your
Thank
business
you.
schedule.
That's important.
Yes.
Rest, baby. Rest.
Rest, baby.
Thank you all for tuning in.
Thanks,
to
friend.
Kindred Conversations.
Loving voice can love a whole body of oceans. So where every single day I'm cutting, got you close with, yeah.